and welcome to my channel. For the past few weeks, I've been teasing some new MLM content, and today I'm here to deliver that to you. However, this subject is, first of all, not one that I ever planned on talking about, but I actually stumbled upon this rabbit hole while I was researching another MLM video that I was trying to make, and I just could not let this go. It is not your traditional MLM that we would normally talk about, and quite honestly, I would be surprised if anyone watching this knew what I was talking about going into this, but today you're gonna learn. So, we're gonna talk about a cult. You may be thinking to yourself, Savannah, you said you're bringing us MLM content. What does a cult have to do with an MLM? Why the hell are we talking about a cult? Well, friends, this is more than just a cult. This cult has actually dabbled in the MLM business structure itself. But to even begin to talk about that, we need to get into the, I want to say specifics, but the specifics are so batshit insane that everything I'm going to talk about here, please understand, this is just scratching the surface. There's so much information out there, so much material to go through to really understand the inner workings of this cult. So I'm gonna do my best to really just summarize what they're all about. Today we are talking about Desteni. Now, like I said, I fell down this rabbit hole while researching something else, and this is probably the most complex thing I have ever researched. When I first started researching things, before I started like really writing stuff down while I was like more like reading through the material and stuff, all their websites were working. As of today, when I went and spent 6 hours writing everything down that I had compiled into my notes, most of their major websites are down, like not even loading at all. I haven't been able to access most of the articles I wanted to get like the direct actual information. Anyway, maybe by the time this video comes out, the websites will be back up and you can like research it all for yourself or read whatever you want for yourself. But so for the most part, most of this information comes from an article that Vice put out. There's also a blog called the Desteni Cult on Blogspot, and there's a few other little like forums and stuff sprinkled in here and there. There's really not that many people talking about this. I mean, if you look on YouTube, there's really nobody talking about this cult. The only places I see people talking about it is in like forums and stuff. But I guess we will start out with the founder of Desteni. He's a man named Bernard Poolman. He is an ex-detective living in South Africa. His father-in-law was allegedly a deep trance medium, and Bernard's fascination with the spirit realm was further solidified by sitting in on his father-in-law's sessions. In his words, he was speaking to demons who came and went from his body. Maybe I should have said this first, but buckle in because this shit gets crazy, okay? Some of it can get a little dark, some of it is kind of twisted, so yeah, I guess just a fair warning here. At first, back in the 90s, he was trying to sell a computer software system for children, actually. It's like a tutoring kind of thing, and he claims that a television crew came to his living establishment and was interviewing him about the software, where he started kind of preaching about self-forgiveness. So the term self-forgiveness is something you're probably going to hear me talk about a lot here because it's one of the like foundations of Desteni. But anyway, he claimed that he was being challenged by one of the cameramen, and Bernard forced him to say, "I forgive myself." And suddenly the boy's eyes rolled into the back of his head and he starts having convulsions, and he's having what looks to be a seizure. And that's what Bernard says he thought at first. He came to the conclusion that this was not in fact a seizure. This boy had been possessed by a demon. And so instead of, I guess, like treating someone who's having a seizure, he kind of went and held the boy, and he was kind of whispering to him like, "It's so good that you're forgiving yourself," over and over and over again. And eventually the convulsions stopped, the seizure stopped, and the boy started muttering that he forgave himself. Poolman says that that was the demon leaving his body. I say that this was all, you know, a camera crew, right? So there should be video footage of all of this happening. Well, you'd be wrong if you thought that, because Bernard says that the whole crew kind of ran from the scenes, and when they got back to their studio or whatever, they destroyed all the tapes because they were so terrified. So basically everything that Desteni was built upon, this one kind of like experience here, is all relying on Bernard Poolman's word alone. So after this alleged exorcism, Bernard began helping demons, allowing them to enter his body, and then talking them through the point. This sounds so crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. Talking them through the points in which they haven't forgiven themselves, and then teaching them how to forgive themselves. And then at that point, the demon can transform into an angel, so they're not demons anymore, and they can move on and leave that dimension. And apparently this pissed the demons off, and they kind of started to fight back. According to Bernard, he woke up one morning and there was this satanic graffiti all over his house, including the message, "I will kill you and your son." He had a son and a daughter. As any normal person would do when finding this out, Bernard said, "I'm going to open myself up to all these demons." He said there were about 300 of them, and he got his kids to help him absorb, I guess, channel all these demons, all 300 of them, and he freed all of them too by teaching them self-forgiveness. And there's actually a link to a video down below recounting this experience, but here's a few snippets.
One morning we woke up and we had painting outside on the walls of the house like, "I'm going to kill you and your son." We've got demons everywhere. So somehow I've pissed off the demons because I've been taking them into me, and as I take them into me, I show them forgiveness. So at that stage, I have never faced a group of demons. There was over 300 of them there. So I didn't know exactly what to do. So I said to Cerise, "Look, it's very simple. We need to get all these demons into me, and you've got to make sure we get them all." And she was quite okay with that. And then she was like, "Okay, let's do that." So that's what we did. We did the whole lot. The last 5 was the most difficult. They were the strongest demons. But we got them all into me, and as they got into me, I just stand and show them what forgiveness is and what it's all about.
So according to Bernard, exorcising a demon doesn't actually solve a problem. Pretty much all it does is force them out of one person's body and freeing them to look for a new host. Bernard made it his life mission to rid the world of all demons by teaching them to forgive themselves, because he had figured out that if a demon forgives themselves, they're not a demon anymore and they're an angel. In 2001, he met a woman named Xena. I can't pronounce her last name. I'm sorry, but let's just call her Xena. She began working for Bernard as his personal assistant, so he was paying her and all that. In the Vice article that I reference in here a lot, the author says they actually interviewed this Xena woman, and she said this as a quote, "Bernard could make anyone fall in love with him. He could knock a person down intellectually within minutes. He could mess with your head." Sounds like a cult leader, you know? Very charismatic, speaks eloquently and to the point where, you know, you want to believe what he's saying. So when he hired Xena, he had just finished writing what would pretty much become Destiny's Dianetics, if you've ever looked into Scientology, which if you haven't, there's a really great A&E special called Leah Remini and something about Scientology. It's by Leah Remini, that chick from the King of Queens. Yeah, but she was a Scientologist, and she has like 2 seasons on A&E where she goes through like all the crazy stuff about Scientology. Holy moly, it's a great watch. I highly recommend it. But anyway, Dianetics was pretty much the Bible of Scientology. I say was, it is. This book that Bernard wrote was called A Virus-Free Mind, and this was essentially their Bible, their Dianetics. But then he developed this book into an education software, so like the software he was using before that he was trying to develop for tutoring and stuff, he used it to make A Virus-Free Mind into computer software. He called it Power Education by Mind Technology. And then him and Xena went and started selling it all over South Africa. Later, he met a woman named Esteni, or is it Esteni? I think it's Esteni. Esteni Duet. He essentially wiped Xena out at this point because he started dating this Esteni chick. So he stopped paying Xena for her services and kind of sent her on her way. In Vice's interview, she said, "He was so good at making us feel like we were becoming deprogrammed from society's bullshit that we didn't realize he was programming us." And a few years later, the Xena chick met Esteni's parents at a hotel, and she kind of met with them and started talking with them, because at this point, you know, they were kind of involved with Bernard Poolman's bullshit too, because their daughter was directly involved with him. According to her, this is what she says, they gave her a tab of ecstasy and they said, "Have you tried this new meditation technique that Bernard came up with? It works best if you're taking these pills," and it was ecstasy. So at this point, she found out that that was what was going on. They were all at Bernard's place taking ecstasy and meditating. He was feeding ecstasy to these followers of his, including his own son and daughter, which I would assume they were full-grown adults at this point. I would hope so, because Bernard Poolman he was kind of an older guy, so I would hope that they were old enough to make their own decisions, but I couldn't find any sources saying otherwise. But anyway, the sale of their software brought in enough money that Bernard actually went and purchased a large farm. And there he started hosting a lot of ecstasy-fueled meditation sessions. And during this time, he met a woman named Sunette. Now, Sunette is a rabbit hole in and of herself. I could research this woman for ever, literally forever. She is an interdimensional portal. I realize that a lot of things I'm talking about here just sound like nonsense because it's all so crazy, but stick with me here. So just like Bernard claimed he was able to do by channeling spirits, absorbing them, and teaching them to forgive themselves, and then transforming them into angels so they could release themselves out of the demonic dimension, I guess, she was able to do this too. She also claimed, however, that she could channel the spirits of people like Hitler, Mother Teresa, Kurt Cobain, Leonardo da Vinci, etc. Like just a lot of random people, as well as Anu. And if you've never heard that name, I hadn't really heard it either until I started researching this, but Anu is the reptilian overlord. This is so crazy. Anyway, Anu, in old Mesopotamian beliefs and the entire like reptilian conspiracy theory, Anu is the god who supposedly created human life. Followers of Desteni give credence to the reptilian conspiracy theory, and they accept that humans were designed by Anunnaki reptilian alien overlords. Here is a video of Sunette claiming that she is channeling Anu.
So this is Anu, and I'm here to speak about me, about my creation, like such a overwhelming experience to be able to manipulate someone, to have them do exactly what you want them to do. Then when you realize that you have that power, you kind of develop it inside yourself, as yourself, with yourself, getting beings to do what I want them to do without them knowing it.
And also, I came across this as well. She can also channel inanimate objects, and there's a video of her channeling a pantyliner, and I recommend watching the video in full, but here's a few clips.
I am a pantyliner as the manifested expression of myself within this world. Yes, I have been aware of me as the manifestation of myself as a pantyliner, and that's about it. I'd have experienced a moment of touch when I am removed from the box. I would be positioned tightly against another soft cushion, but harder, fuller, which would be the vagina. I experience me being absorbed. I am absorbing, like almost when you breathe in and you're just absorbing this liquidy warmth, and everywhere it just feels like I'm becoming all soggy, and something is moving and infiltrating inside me, and I'm just absorbing, and I can't help myself. It's just what I do.
So she's essentially saying that pantyliners are aware of themselves. Like, you can't make this shit up, okay? Anyway, so Bernard found Sunette because him and Desteni had been eating breakfast or something, and she was the waitress. Her mother had just died to cancer. She was obviously distraught. So Bernard invited her back to the farm, where he made her Destiny's official portal. With Sunette being Destiny's front woman, you know, she's a really pretty young lady, pretty blonde lady. You know how it is, like, you put someone like that in the front, it makes people really willing to listen to whatever she's saying. And I will say that, like, if you're of a certain mindset, some of the things she's saying could probably stick in your mind, you know, or at least sound like there's some validity to it. We all know there's not, but anyway. With her as the front woman, Bernard and Sunette started posting all of their craziness all over the internet. The most notable source of crazy, in my opinion, is actually Sunette's YouTube channel. There is an ungodly amount of videos on this channel, and I have tried to sift through multiple videos of hers, but honestly they're a lot of nonsense. She covers topics from the lost city of Atlantis to sexuality to transformations of demons to basic mind-opening techniques. Later, another woman named Andrea would join the cult. She's an interesting woman too, and I actually saw her name like posting in different like anti-Destiny forums. So like people would post about Destiny and she would go respond to them. So I saw her name in there a lot. This next story has maybe a few content trigger warnings. We're talking about child molestation and suicide. It's very brief, so yeah, just be fair warned here. She claims that she had been possessed by a demon after her father died, and that demon would leave her body, possess someone to come molest her as a child, and then leave, get back in her body, and then tell her to kill herself. I know this is really deep. I'm really sorry. She also said the demon would also possess her boyfriend, and the boyfriend would beat her while he was possessed by the same demon. And this is how she claims that she was having sexual relationships with demons. I know. Bernard took her in to stop the cycle of demon abuse, is what he called it. And together they launched Destiny's first website, where there was a forum where Destiny members could go on and they could talk to Sunette and Bernard directly. So now the feeds of information are moving back and forth between people. There's enough members that they can feed information between each other and also to other sources. Around 2009, 2010, they started a campaign called Face World Face Off, in which members of Destiny would shave their head. And this was so that the person's face can be seen and to not be distracted by their hair. And I'm just gonna come out and say it because if I don't, someone in the comments will. I didn't shave my head because I'm a member of Destiny, okay? I had a lot of good reasons for doing it. This is just crazy. But there is a YouTube channel that goes by the same name, Face World Face Off, and it's very strange. It's run by a man who, by reading the comments, I believe his name is John? Anyway, it contains a lot of weird videos of him making facial expressions, videos of some of Bernard's teachings and rants, as well as saying that by shaving your head, you're setting yourself up for financial success because you no longer need to buy hair products. And this Gian guy also is still active with Destiny. I've seen his name in a lot of kind of forums and also on Facebook in discussions about Destiny there. Recent ones as well. So at this point, Destiny is making waves around the internet, and the word cult kind of started getting thrown around, and Bernard Poolman didn't like that. There's a guy named Rick Ross. He's a cult deprogrammer. Honestly, I don't really know what that is, but it sounds like a cool job, if it is a job at all. But he began compiling everything he could find about Destiny in a forum, in the cult education forum. So as a rebuttal, Bernard started a smear campaign against him. Rick Ross just kind of conceded after talking in circles with Destiny cult members. He just kind of was like, you know what, I'm just not even going to entertain these people anymore. The forum thread just kind of died down. Bernard took this as a success. He was like, hooray, we're fighting evil. And right after this, here's some more crazy. He claimed to have spoken with Jesus of Nazareth himself through the dimensional portal, being Sunette. And Jesus allegedly agreed to team up with Destiny to remove all the demons from the world. So with Jesus on their side, you know, you can't fail. They were, at this point, able to channel Hitler. And then they taught him to forgive himself, and they transformed him for good. And Hitler was kind of like the final boss of the demons, I guess. He was the last demon to be eradicated, and at that point, Destiny had succeeded. So they eradicated the entire planet of all the demons. So this was great news. Like, they didn't have to fight demons anymore. So then they turned their sights to what's called the Destiny Eye process. Now this is what you all came here for. This is where we get to talk about why this cult is linked with MLMs. All of this background information has brought us here. Essentially, the Destiny cult started their own MLM. Yes, these reptilian overlord believing conspiracy theorists, demon hunting crazies started an MLM. It's kind of unusual, but it's an MLM nonetheless. It's kind of like just bare bones, brass tacks, the most basic form of MLM you can think of. But first of all, Destiny created a sort of like web seminar called the Destiny Eye Process Lite. I'm just gonna call it DIP because it's easier to say. But this was and still is a free web seminar. You can still go to their website and sign up for this for free. And in this place, you would learn just valuable life skills. And if you were to stumble upon this not knowing what it was at first, it might seem kind of like a good, helpful tool. Having not gone through it myself, I can't imagine that they would just like throw all the crazy shit out at you from the get-go. Because looking at the website, you don't see anything about demons and stuff like that. It's more so it essentially wants to teach you how to free your mind and eliminate fear through writing, as well as being able to be honest with yourself, work through your emotions and feelings, and learn how to direct your reactions. So they assign a buddy to you when you sign up, which is supposed to be essentially a guide, someone who's going to guide you through the process, walk with you step by step. However, what they don't initially tell you is that later on down the road, your buddy is going to be profiting off you. After you finish Dip Lite, you can move on to Dip Pro. And Dip Pro is a continuation of Dip Lite, but it costs money. So while you're doing this, you're expected to keep a public blog or publish vlogs or publish podcasts. Basically, it's some public form of self-expression, which they like to promote writing and stuff like that. But basically, I mean, they want you to be honest with yourself, and therefore, if you're putting it on the internet, you're kind of like being honest to other people. A lot of people are like revealing their deepest, darkest secrets and stuff with all this, because that's kind of part of like forgiving yourself is like admitting your faults, kind of. And you can find these videos on YouTube. I mean, when I first started researching all this, if you search like Destiny process, a lot of it is just like people kind of talking about the process and not necessarily Destiny and its belief system. And they're all kind of lower quality videos. Like it's kind of just more, seems like more for themselves. You know, not a lot of views, nothing like that. But anyway, there are multiple tiers. These tiers range from 25 euros per month to 400, but you know what, since I am American, and I know most of my viewers are also American, I'm just gonna convert all of this to US dollars. It estimates between about $28 to $455 per month. So the lowest tier, which is the $28 one per month, is just a monthly chat with your buddy. 2 chats per month will run you $57, and 1 chat per week will cost you $114 per month. And throughout all this time, you're still expected to be participating in Destiny's forums and continue applying the principles you've learned in DIP. For $227 a month, you can apply for the Structural Resonance Alignment Walk, or the SRA Walk. This tier will give you more lessons and assignments and keep you in touch with your buddy. They actually do provide a sponsorship program for this particular tier if you can't afford to pay the monthly premium, and they have like a little PDF like describing how to apply for this sponsorship program. You pretty much have to like prove to them that you're completely committed to Destiny. If they even believe for a second that you're not committed and you're just gonna quit or anything like that, if you're not giving 110% of yourself, they're not gonna give it to you. And then there's one more tier, it's called the All-in-One Walk. It'll cost you $455 a month. It's basically a package that combines all their libraries, all their interviews, podcasts, videos, etc., along with your buddy pretty much being at your beck and call. So, how is this an MLM? Well, DIP Pro is a 4-year course. So yeah, so you'll be paying $455 a month for 4 years, which is ridiculous. Who has that kind of money to just throw around? I sure as hell don't. Regardless, in the 3rd year, you get to become a buddy. Congratulations! And with that, you're encouraged to recruit people into signing up for Dip Lite, and then if they sign up for Dip Lite, you want to get them into Dip Pro, which is where they will start paying money. So once the student begins payments, the buddy will receive a cut of their payments. And I've seen 2 different sources of this. The Vice article says they receive 35% of the students' monthly payments, but there's a post on the Skeptic Project that says it's 40 euros or around $45 a person enrolled per month. So if you have 10 people enrolled, you'll be getting $450 a month. If a student recruits another person, then you get an extra 50 euros or around $56 per month. So according to Destiny, if you recruit 10 people, and then they recruit 10 people, and then those 10 people recruit 10 people, you could potentially make over $142,000 a month with Destiny, or around $2.1 million a year. And I'll admit, that's a hard sell for me. I mean, I personally don't know anyone who buys into the reptilian conspiracy theory. But even if I did, like, good luck getting them to pay $455 per month for 4 freaking years just to learn about it, you know? However, Desteni has claimed to recruit several hundred followers over their years of being an active cult, but only 62 buddies who have been taking cuts from their students' pockets. In August 2013, Bernard sadly died of heart failure, but his teachings continue to live on through Sunette's YouTube page, which is still up to this day. Bernard actually had his own YouTube channel, but YouTube shut it down like years ago. But you can still find a lot of the videos uploaded by different people. But as for Sunette's YouTube page, as of this moment, as I'm talking to you right now, she hasn't posted in over a year, which is strange because before that she was uploading very regularly. So she's kind of gone right now. Who knows where she's at? And as I mentioned earlier, Destini's websites aren't functioning, and the only way I've been able to access most of them is through the Internet Archives, the Wayback Machine, and that's just kind of hard to maneuver around, you know? Bernard's Facebook page is still open despite the fact that he's been dead for 6 years. His friends and followers are still tagging him and stuff and like posting on his wall and stuff, so it's still like active. And as I'm filming this, the last post that's been made on his wall was 3 days ago. So this is still very active. The other interesting thing that I want to know, and I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, but since we're talking about MLMs and it's kind of like a money-making scam, kind of, I just want to touch on it because it is interesting. But Desteni created what's called the equal money system, and it's essentially a scam that Desteni used during the election season of 2008 to make them seem like they were politically involved when they actually weren't. But it kind of put their name out there a little bit, you know? But to put it simply, I'll just quote this post from the Desteni Cult Blog. Desteni claims the equal money system will provide everyone on the planet with the same income from birth to death and the same standard of living as a present-day millionaire. There will be a 4-year conscription period where citizens work on labor camps, but apart from that, no one will have to work. To police the system, everyone in the world will be microchipped and dissenters made subject to psychological intervention. They say that EMS will bring a new age of equality and oneness. And equality and oneness is one thing they like to talk about a lot too. This idea though was abandoned by the group in 2013, and instead they just started a whole new system called the Equal Life Foundation Living Income Guaranteed. And basically the only purpose it served was to help the sale and promotion of Desteni courses and products, but this was also abandoned in 2016. That's pretty much all I'm going to talk about here today regarding Desteni. Like I said, you know, Sunette has been MIA for the past year. Destini's websites are not working right now, even though they were working like a week ago. I mean, it's very clear to me that there are still people practicing the Desteni process based on Bernard Poolman's Facebook and all that. But I think this cult is kind of on the downswing, you know, like they're not doing too great right now. They just are all kind of living on this farm in South Africa, taking ecstasy and channeling demons. I don't know. They killed all the demons. I don't know what they do now. I mean, there are so many things that I did not touch on regarding Desteni. If you want more information, I'll leave links down below of Sunette's YouTube page, first of all. I mean, that's like the biggest source of information, really, as well as a few other YouTube pages, some blogs and stuff like that. And if you really want to get deep into some of the teachings, I mean, they literally touch on every subject. Like, it's crazy. There are hours among hours among hours of content for you to consume about Desteni that don't come from a critical standpoint, so it's very informative. Anyway, I know this wasn't like a traditional MLM video, but I just thought that this topic was so interesting, and it does relate to MLMs, you know, pyramid schemes and all that, and this rabbit hole was a deep one. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I am in the works of creating another MLM video. That's the one I was trying to work on before I fell down the Desteni hole, and I don't know when that'll be coming out. It might be a few weeks because I kind of need to take a breather for a minute before I get into a deep rabbit hole again. But yeah, if you're a Desteni member, I know you're gonna leave comments and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but I guess I welcome them. Alright, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!